welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about a game that I recently replayed. Obviously it's been out for years, and the next addition to the game is nowhere in sight. I'm going to be talking about GTA 5. I recently replayed the game, like I said originally, and I am going to be including spoilers. I think that that's something very important that I need to clarify. I am going to be spoiling what happens in this game. It's a very interesting game. It's a very interesting storyline. I love it. I've loved it for a lot of years. It's just one of the best games that I've ever played, if not the best game that I've ever played. I thoroughly enjoy it, and so let's just get straight into it. Right now I'm going to be diving into the story mode. So if you haven't played the story mode, there will be spoilers. Online, I'll touch briefly on that, but I think that the most important part is the story mode to this game. It is probably it is probably the best story mode that I've ever played in a game. There's nothing bad that I can say about GTA 5. You have very likable characters. You have Franklin, Trevor, and Michael. They're very likable characters. I know that a lot of people might debate and say Trevor isn't a very likable character, but if you really get behind each of these characters' motivations and each of these characters' ideals, you'll start to see that a lot of them do have reasons for what they do. So let's just get into the basics. Let's just get into the nitty-gritty and get into the individual gears that turn these characters. Again, I will be spoiling the story, but I'm kind of going to be jumping around in the story. Franklin, for me, is like the least interesting character. I know that this might be weird for some people, but I think that he's just like one of the lesser interesting characters. I'm talking about the three main characters. Obviously, we have a ton of side characters and a ton of that type of stuff, but Franklin is the one that starts the game and the one that ends it. And I like his character a lot. Don't get me wrong. I just find everything, like, his motivation is money, and he wants to be rich, and he wants to make it, and he wants to do this and do that. And I think that he, like, obviously he does it. Obviously he becomes rich by the end of the game, and he starts to forge this relationship with Michael, which is like a father figure to him. And he's like a loyal dog. He follows whatever Michael says. If Michael says we're gonna be robbing this bank, we're robbing the bank. Michael says we're doing this, we're doing that. And I really like that aspect of Franklin. He's very loyal, and to a lot of his friends, he, like, a lot of his friends from the hood, because Franklin is from the hood. He kind of like leaves them behind because he knows he can do so much more, and he knows that he can get so much farther ahead, and he doesn't just want to be gun running and risking his life for someone that doesn't even care. At least Michael cares, and at least he's actually seeing results from it instead of being with Lamar or something like that. I really like Franklin. He's a good character, but I find him to be the more boring one out of the three. The second most interesting one, the most interesting one is Trevor, but Michael, which is the second most interesting one, I feel like his story is the focal point of this whole entire story. So you have the original, like, what happens at the beginning of the, not the show, of the game. Michael fakes his death, and he was in a crew with Trevor, but Michael fakes his death, and he gets, like, he turns himself over to the FBI, and the FBI give him like this whole other life and just this whole other purpose. And in the end, he ends up going back to his life of crime, obviously. But the reason why that starts to kick off is because Franklin breaks into his house, and then his wife cheated on him, and so he decided to go after the person that cheated on his wife. He ended up messing with a big, like, cartel dude, and so then he had to pay him. And so everything that happened to Michael was just like a step of unfortunate events. And in the end, he ends up reconnecting with Trevor, which ends up being this whole mess that they get put in. But you can really see his motivations. One, it's his family, because, well, like, his Witsec family, which for some reason they have a strong bond. But he does anything for his daughter, and he always tries to do what is right for his daughter. His son is a lazy ass, like, motherfucker that just sits in bed all day, plays video games, and just it's just a lot of weird stuff. And then his wife obviously cheats on him a lot, but then at the end, she ends up like seeing the error in her ways, and he has this whole turning where at the beginning he's like a no good dad, and he keeps on going with his no good dad thing, but then something just like clicks in him, and he starts to work for Solomon, where he's making movies, and his family starts to come back, and everything is just starting to go right with him. And now here's the third character, Trevor. Trevor was, like I said, the one that originally was with Michael and the old like gang running and stuff like that. And Trevor, he got set up basically. So Michael gave himself up, said that Trevor, or I don't really know exactly what happened, but basically Trevor had to live a life on the run, while Michael was basically just living this bougie ass life just because he gave himself up to the FBI. And obviously Trevor ends up finding this out when he confronts Michael. He finds out that Michael is actually alive because Michael robs a bank with Franklin, and he tells one of the bankers or one of the security people, "You forget 1,000 things every day. Make sure this is one of them." And the banker obviously tells that to the news station, and that's a very common line that Michael used to say, which causes Trevor to get on his tail. And so you have this holy trinity, these three characters that have a really weird bond, because once Trevor finds out that Michael set him up, and Michael set up everything so that Michael could be alive, he actually like gives him over to the Chinese triad. Well, like not exactly the Chinese triad, like they kidnap him, but Trevor doesn't want to go save him. So then Franklin helps Michael, because Michael is like a father figure to him. And then Franklin and Trevor are like just friends, but Trevor's like telling him like, "Yo, this dude is next level bad. Don't trust him. He's gonna betray you, stab you in the back." And basically like the whole game itself, like if I go into every individual detail of the game, we will be here forever. So I'm just gonna go into the highlights. I'm gonna go into the ending. The ending is for me the most interesting part. So there are people that are trying to take out Michael and people that are trying to take out Trevor, because Michael obviously he's pissed off a lot of people, and so they're like, he needs to be gone. And then Trevor, obviously he's a meth addict. He is just a loose cannon, and they cannot have that. Like the FBI cannot have that, or FIB in this game. So they decide like, hey, we're gonna tell Franklin to kill one of them, and let's just like at the end, if you pick one or the other, then it's fine. But there are three options. Okay, and I'm gonna go with the option that I picked first. Then I had to watch videos and stuff like that to see how it ends in other people's. Because if you kill off one of the characters, you can't play as them afterward. And so I really wanted to be able to play as all three of them, because they all have like incredible stories, and also they have really cool abilities that I like to play with. So Trevor gets a call, and he has to decide either kill Michael, kill Trevor, or Death Wish. I picked Death Wish just because I knew that was the only way that all three of them could survive. And so basically what happens with there is that everyone just attacks you. Like the FBI sends people, this one super rich dude sends people. And so you have to kill all of these people, and then once all of them are done, you have to go and hunt down each and every one of the, like you have to hunt down like 4 people that like try to, one, put a hit out on Michael and Trevor, and 2, just bad people that needed to be gone. And so there you can decide that one. The one where they killed Trevor is one of the most interesting ones. I personally think that Michael is the most interesting one, but so let's go into Trevor's first, to just bear with me a bit. But where you killed Trevor, it is such a heart, like it is not really a heartfelt, but it's so sad to see Trevor betrayed again. And he says it like, "I fell for this once," and you're just attacked. Like he has been on the rough side of everything. Like obviously he is a big problem with a lot of people, just because you know, he's a meth addict. He sells drugs for a living, and he's just a loose cannon when it comes to everything. He likes to kill a lot of people. He goes on these rampages and does all these things. And so you have a scene where Franklin goes and then he starts talking to Trevor a bit. And once he talks to Trevor a bit, Trevor kind of like figures out like, holy shit, this is happening. And so he starts driving. You go out on a chase. You chase down Trevor. You call Michael on the way and tell him to meet you there. And so Trevor hits like this gas tank. Gas is going everywhere. And he's just screaming out saying that like we're a bunch of assholes and do a bunch of random shit like that they're really just bad people. And so you really start to feel it because Trevor's the one that's had it the worst. Honestly, like first you think that your friends are dead, you think that one of them is in prison, and you find out that he's actually dead, and then Michael betrayed you, and then he's back here standing in front of you with a gun, and you're just in the gasoline. And so obviously there you have to kill Trevor because that's like the whole entire mission. So you kill Trevor, he burns, and then in the game that's that. But if you decide to kill Michael, that one is for me the saddest one. It's like obviously Michael betrayed Trevor first, and so he kind of has it coming to him to get betrayed by someone, but just the things that he says and the way that everything happens is so sad. Michael starts telling him like, yo, everything's going good now, you know? My wife and my kids are back. You're doing good. We finished this huge ass bank heist. Everything is just doing amazing. And he invites Franklin over for dinner, and everything is just great. And in that, Franklin pulls out a gun. And again, there's another chase sequence where you go into this factory, and while you're chasing Michael, you call Trevor, and Trevor starts to call you an asshole, that you're terrible, that you don't deserve anything because you've decided to kill Michael, and he doesn't like the idea of betrayal. And so you get to this factory, you guys start to run, you run up this like huge ass like I think the water thing, or I don't even know what type of factory it is, but there's a ton of height ladders and stuff. You go up, and what Michael says is I think the most impactful thing of this whole entire game, where Michael says, I was the only one who was ever decent to you. You're making a mistake killing me off. Like I was like a father to you. I did everything for you. You've been like a son to me. And it gets to a point where you kind of like push Michael over the balcony, and you're holding him, and you have either the chance to save him and bring him up, or just let him fall. Both of them kill Michael because obviously if you let him fall, he falls from a substantial height. But if you bring him up, he'll hit you and then he'll fall. I don't know why that happens, but he decides to basically Michael just accepts his fate. And for me, the best ending is the death wish, obviously, because you don't kill off anybody. And there are people that will disagree with me, saying that they dislike Trevor because of his weird tendencies to say he hijacks people's homes and he's just an all-round asshole. But he's a heartfelt asshole at times. And then you have Michael, who betrayed Trevor at the beginning, and he's done nothing but look out for himself. So you could see both of them. But for me, I think that they're just three incredible characters, and the story is just an incredible storyline. I really like it, and I really recommend it. It's a very interesting, everything is just very interesting. Everything that happens, the whole entire story, how they all meet, then them getting to trust each other, then them losing the trust in each other, and then them getting to a point where they're going to be attempting the biggest heist that Los Santos has ever seen, or that the world has ever seen, just by the sheer grandness of the bank heist that they do at the end of the day. And so I think that's just an amazing storyline. And yeah, I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. I know that if you go with Franklin to Trevor after you kill Michael, like Trevor will be like, I don't ever want to talk to you again. You're dead to me. And if you do it with Michael, I think that he like says it was what we had to do, and that's that. In the Death Wish one, you can like actually hang out with them, and I've done that before, where like they just go to a bar, get drunk, and then just start talking. It's really interesting, and I really like it. But let's go into the rest of the game that makes it interesting. The online mode. It is full of the most toxic people that I've ever met. The online mode, you have people in oppressors, which are flying motorbikes with missiles. Whoever decides to put the missiles on that is just an asshole. Just because you can't complete anything without getting shot at or without losing everything just because someone decides to blow you up on an oppressor. And so just being able to play with people and being able to play these mini games that are super fun and being able to do all these things that are really interesting, I really do like. I played it for like a few years and then I stopped playing it just because I was seeing no progress. There's a few glitches, yeah, here and there, but I really like it, and it was very interesting to play with my friends. Obviously, once you get to a point where you're like super rich and stuff, it doesn't get as fun. And that's something that happens with most games. Any game that you tell me has its like troughs where you go super high and everything's amazing and the game is super fun, and then super low where nobody's joining you and it's not as fun anymore. And you have those highs and those lows and those highs and those lows. At the end of the day, whenever you start playing GTA, you're going to have some fun. And then it's just going to go away at some point. But I really like this game. And the story mode of this game is definitely a 10 out of 10. But putting the whole game as, like, the game as a whole in my ranking system, I think I'd give it like a 9.7 out of 10. 9.7 out of 10. It is like the most perfect game that I've ever played. Everything down to the story mode, the motivation of these characters, then the online mode so you can keep on playing. I found it to be super interesting. But yeah, I just wanted to talk a bit about what I thought about GTA and everything that goes on there. I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you have enjoyed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.